back, everybody, to another edition of Bamcomixs. I'm your host, OC, and today we're gonna get into Morbius. So, guys, as you know, we already had Morbius come out in the theaters. I think it's been out for like about a month. And what's there to say, but this is a part of the new Spider-Man universe that Sony is developing. And now we have Venom, Let There Be Carnage featuring Carnage, and now the third in a series of Spider-Man universe movies. We're also going to get, I think a little bit this year, the part 2 of the Into the Spider-Verse. So it's expanding. And this entry really, this entry. So, billed as like the biggest movie, this movie is, you know, according to the trailers that we got, this movie was going to be awesome. and it wasn't. Jared Leto, you know, respectable actor, you know, everything from his previous work. Jared Leto is a, you know, really talented actor, and you've seen all of his movies before. Like, this guy's been in Fight Club, he's been in Dallas Buyers Club, he's been the Joker, and you know, he's a real chameleon. So it's like, what went wrong? The story, what went wrong here? What went wrong with Morbius? These trailers looked awesome. Like, Sony really did a good job making these trailers look like this movie was going to be, like, crazy. But the storyline, which involves Jared Leto's Michael Morbius trying to find a cure for his rare blood disease, at the behest of just helping out humanity, helping out himself, Jared Leto transforms into Morbius, the human vampire. The film opens with Dr. Morbius and a few of these mercenaries that he's hired to go to Costa Rica to find these bats. So the film, I would say the first act of the film is really good in that it establishes the characters. It establishes Morbius when they were kids at a hospital, and he made a friend there, and the friend turns out to be the villain of the movie. So the movie's very predictable. There's a lot in the movie that you could predict what's coming before the movie's coming. Now, I think the story, you know, the story was alright, but it's just, again, like, it's an example of you're having a great actor, right? Because I think Leto was done dirty in the Suicide Squad. And I'm going to be one of the first to say it. I liked his Joker. I liked his Joker. It was something different. He couldn't copy and do the same thing as Heath Ledger. He really tried to make the role his own. And I know, like, in the fandom, there's a lot of, you know, vocal fans out there that, you know, when Jared Leto was cast as the Joker, and even after watching the Suicide Squad in a gas, like, Joker doesn't have tattoos or whatever, like, but as you can see, it was, like, a little bit redeemed more in the Justice League, in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Leto came back. Leto returned as the Joker in Justice League, Snyder Cut. Jared Leto, who plays Morbius here, does a really good job, actually. Like, my main points of the movie, my main points of contention with this movie is how predictable it is. And when a movie becomes predictable and it sort of falls into that predictable pattern that you know every single thing that's going to happen in the movie before it happens, and there's some even ridiculous scenes in this movie that don't really match up or make sense with, you know, the main protagonist's powers. So, for example, like, if Jared Leto has acquired this superpowers, that it was great in Act 1 of the movie. It was great that, you know, you explored his powers, but the movie could have explored them more. You see, when you turn into a vampire, you have a bloodlust. and you want the taste of human flesh. And in this movie, Leto controlled it a bit, but it was too, the movie, it went too fast in that respect. Like, I feel like, okay, if you're a vampire and you have vampire powers, then how could a human being catch up to you? There's one scene in the movie where right after Leto gets his power, Michael Morbius gets his powers and he's in the hospital, which, like, this guy is rich. He could afford a mansion, but he lives all the time in this hospital, right? Doing his work and researching on bats. And, the first act and everything, that was really good. So then when the police start questioning him about a murder of a scientist who works in the labs, of a doctor who works in the labs, all of a sudden you see you see him use his vampirific powers to get away and jump about like 100 stories up into this, like, to the roof of the building. And then when he gets to the roof, who does he see but the same cop who talked to him in the lobby of the building. So we see that cop played by Tyrese Gibson. So Tyrese Gibson of Fast and Furious fame probably took his car and just like sped up the side of a building, and that's how he got to Morbius. But that scene happened, and there's a couple of scenes also in the movie like that don't really make sense. If Morbius, he's a doctor, and I'm assuming he's already more than a millionaire, because he's been, the beginning of the movie focuses really on all his achievements since he's a child, and you would think, why would he need to rob a counterfeiting cash operation for a lab when he has a lab at home? He doesn't need to rob anybody's lab. He's a vampire. He can go there really fast, like, and he could fly. And so those are some of the things that I really didn't like about the movie. It was really inconsistent, and the final fight scene to me was like filmed in such a way, like, it's so dark you can't really see the fight well. You can't really see it. A lot of CGI, a lot of like, they fight in the dark, like at the end, and like you can't really make out the fight really well. I mean, there's like a lot of debris, and they're going into caverns, and they're flying around. So that last fight was really disappointing in my opinion. So if you liked Venom, then you'll like this movie less. There's a team up that happens at the end. Can I say it? Can I spoil it? I could spoil it now, right? It's been out a while. He teams up with the Vulture. For some reason, the Vulture read about Morbius and wanted to team up. For what? I have no idea what Sony's planning with their Spider Universe. In my opinion, I think Disney should just buy Sony's portion of Spider-Man off, because it's such a waste, man. Like, I'm seeing Michael Keaton as the Vulture. Michael Keaton, this legendary actor who's going to reprise Batman again in The Flash, and you're going to waste Michael Keaton on some like 2 minute or 1 minute after scene where he's speaking with Morbius, that he wants to join Morbius. Where was Vulture during Sinister Six? Vulture is a key member of the Sinister Six, and Vulture deserved to be in No Way Home, right? As a full circle, like that could have been like a full character arc there from Vulture, what we see in Spider-Man Homecoming, to No Way Home. And instead of including him in the original Sinister Six, they only had the Sinister Five. And then they took Vulture and threw him in Morbius as an afterthought. And Leto, now this is the second time he's been done dirty by comic book movies. The first, of course, being Suicide Squad. Let's release that Ayer cut. Let's see more of Leto's Joker that ended up on the cutting room floor. And as far as Morbius goes, I guess, if enough people watch this movie, they say this is the #1 movie in the world. Like Sonic right now is the #1 movie. Sonic 2. Go see that, guys. That's amazing. And stay tuned for a review on that. And this movie was just, I give it a two stars. It's a 2-star movie. Morbius, 2 stars for the fact that at least they tried with the effects. I mean, that part was impressive. The vampiric thing. paint, makeup, and it was entertaining, you know, for what it was. But it's just it's predictability, it's pacing. It's like I knew everything that was gonna happen. Oh, the friend is the villain again, and it's typical in these comic book movies that they do that. But I thought that this was going to be more of the villain was going to be Morbius, like the hero and the villain inside the same person. Like they didn't need antagonist. The antagonist could have been Morbius himself, the condition himself that he's developed, and the movie could have focused on that pain and suffering, and you know, and that conflict inside of the man, which I thought would have been much more great. You know, provided more of an interesting story than just the typical, okay, he's my best friend, now he's my evil twin, which we've seen in Venom. And we've seen now again, Sony is using the same formula again for Morbius. The effects were good. Yeah, the fighting. Only really one good fight scene in this movie, and that happens like when the villain is like being chased by Morbius, and they're underground in the subway, and you see him fighting the cops. That was kind of cool right there, right? But this one is something that I just watch or stream it. But that's been my review of Morbius, guys. Hope you liked it. If you like this video, make sure to comment, make sure to subscribe, and make sure to hit those notifications for more Bam Comics, guys. This has been OC, and I'll see you on the next one. Keep collecting. Peace.